Hello and welcome to the Aftershow for Avatar Legends, the finale, the live after show. Hello everyone. For those who don't do the Patreon things, this will be a little taste of what they're like. We've been doing this for every episode, of course, but we wanted to make sure that everyone can see the get the final closure as we wrap up ourselves.
If you want to hear us ramble about the episode, and I guess in this case the campaign, this is the place to do it for sure.
We did it, kind of. We succeeded.
You know what? We did it.
We did it.
We were gonna do it, but we did it.
We wrapped it up.
I definitely think there were a couple roles for me that would have changed dramatically what I was gonna be doing at the end of that.
One role in particular.
Yeah, that passion roll was it's lucky. It was a lucky roll, or what have you. The roll against the call out roll against Song's tradition. Yeah, was pretty good.
Yeah.
Really dealt with my earlier failures in a nice way.
Made up for missed time, yeah.
I think that if that had gone badly, I would have been like, all right, no, I agree with you. And then Darth Vader did up.
Vader mode, yeah.
Which could have also been interesting.
Would have been cool too. And that's the thing, like any way it went was good. I just had to play the character. It just like piloted itself.
Yeah.
Seeing the end of that whole situation with the rest of the companions like trying to pull you back would have been just as interesting, I think, too. Like, wait, no.
Instead,
No,
we had a mad dive to save Quan from a plummet.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Right.
ooh. I was like, well, this might be the end of me. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm confident in this role. I have a +2. I've been generally pretty lucky with my roles. And Snake Eyes.
That's when it all goes wrong.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Were this any other game, you probably would not have made it out too. I'm like trying to stay true as like the GM, right? In every PBTA game, a GM has principles that are sort of guiding them, that are like, these are the things you should be doing and how you should kind of be pushing things together. And like a big thing is like seek consequences besides death, which I think is really important to hang on to, because it's not a big thing in Avatar unless it is. Like the few times that we see characters die or hear about them die, it's like a big deal. And like you fall to your death is like, well, you fall to your doom for sure. Death is very strange, but also like I as a storyteller want to make this moment meaningful and give you the chance to do something cool to prevent that from happening. So coming around to like, yes, friends helping friends, not fall apart.
It's honestly perfect for Quan too, because my thing is like self-reliance versus trust. And I have throughout this entire campaign shifted towards trust. So me jumping off a balcony to grab this guy who's trying to escape from his like consequences in the same way, many other people have.
Right.
And just having to have faith that people are going to help me.
And they did. You were
Is-
helped.
Ooh.
Faith rewarded.
Yeah. Well, also, why'd you have to make this feel so bad? Be like, he's like, I'm finally gonna have peace in my life.
Yeah, god damn it, Li
Peace.
Zhang.
That's a little rubbish.
Oh.
He chose his path.
Yeah, I mean, you're both right.
His
People are
dude's over
complex
here
and
like, oh, I
complicated.
just had to murder my way to the top of the food chain to survive. It's,
It was very important that I
Yeah,
do
when this is how I've been raised to see the world as like the only way it exists, right?
Yeah.
It's a mess.
He definitely deserved some semblance of it for sure. What touched my heartstring is the putting the jaded shell back together.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, if we linger on this much longer, I'm actually gonna cry.
that felt right.
And getting to share more of Kwan's story because
Yeah.
of she's curiosity for sure. Even though she's
Well,
like, oh, you don't have to tell me.
Yeah.
I actually really liked how like John's ending was like very like kind of 80s movie bro at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end.
Good
Predator,
job.
right? Yeah.
The adversary becomes like his friend.
Run, Rui, you
Why,
son
I
of a
haven't-
bitch.
Yeah, right. In the back of my mind too, I was thinking like if this goes differently, there's definitely a version of this story where like Ron Rui shows up on an assault that's like, you think I'd miss this party kind of energy, you know, where like I think like you got to him, you discredited him. I think giving that room to breathe makes sense to say like, yeah, now that he's lost everything, maybe he realizes that his former enemy is not so far from the truth and that he needs to reconsider the way that he's doing.
Maybe there was also a moment
Goodness.
where he was stood on the wall and like a giant drill showed up and he's like, maybe we should be more serious about this.
Actually, right, yeah. Goodness gracious.
Definitely a chance where we could have not succeeded.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Things
There
can
is
always
so
go
many-
badly. Yes.
Yeah.
Things can always get complicated. And they did, right up until the very end. That's, I think,
Delights. No, go ahead.
beautiful.
Sorry.
Yeah, go for it, please.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, yeah, the whole scene with like I just out of like the top of my head, I'm like, yeah, talk to your father, and then realize like, oh no, stress. I made stress now for myself because it's like, is Delight gonna be with us? Is Delight gonna toss us? What's going on?
I'm for it,
Stress.
whichever way it went.
Yeah,
I was like, ooh.
I was at peace, which is why I didn't try and kind of like push it any particular way. I just like threw in with whatever the dice gave me and like played along with it, because when you're playing a finale, it's just like, who cares, like whatever the most dramatic thing that could happen happens. That's what you want,
Right.
And honestly,
Whatever it is.
if you would have, like, if Delight would have swapped sides, there's a high chance that Quan could have
Yeah.
also, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you returned and were like, bro, this is how things are going, there probably would have been a roll there, but I think, like, you might have rolled really well on that, and then now
I mean, it's potential for badness was high, basically.
Yeah.
Like very, very high.
then it becomes a Chi and John show for reals.
Yeah.
And that would have really messed up Jean. That would just be pushing him all the way over to force. I feel
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
like. It was like
Anger.
everyone's
Alternate-
abandoning the cause.
Right.
Not the cause.
Don't you believe in anything?
If
Right,
they're not with me,
right.
they're against me.
Ah.
There would have been a lot of calling someone out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which you can do too. It didn't come up, but you can always call out other PCs too. That's an interesting part of the Guardian that we didn't get to explore too much, which is fine. But the Guardian's ward can always call them out to do stuff without having to shift their balance, which is interesting.
Didn't know that, but there you
Yeah.
go. I didn't even need it because Quan is like the best guardian.
And Quan's like, oh yeah, of course. I'm gonna.
Yeah. I mean, I was playing her like very much a servant to the Chen family. That whatever happens. But I think that the chat in the air with Li Jing when I'm about to die really did give Quan a semblance of like, I really
Yeah.
do need to find myself in all of this. And that was why I was like, she's gonna find a new person to be the guardian for the Chen family and make amends with her brother and then
Yeah.
try to make things right.
Delight
Maybe
would
somewhere in the
Delight would
background
miss
of.
you.
I'm
Sorry,
sure
what
there's
was
a moment where we get the band back together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So about Long Fang.
Right. There's definitely like a Gaiden like side story, like a Rogue One type deal.
Where we all play different things. Like I'm now a hammer, Cheese guardian.
Which takes place like during the coup, during the siege with the White Lotus Society.
Yeah, that's
It's like
yeah.
the walls are under attack. Like, this is our moment. We've been waiting for this for years.
because we're all gonna go through the occupation of the city, and like
Yeah,
everything that comes with that.
You're there when just about everything happens.
Yeah, the badger moles will be trying to like undermine tanks and collapse them into
Yeah.
the levels below and stuff like that, and just cause trouble for the occupation.
Yeah.
And if you have questions in chat, feel free to ask them. We did get one from Patam, which I'm not
Papatim.
sure if you did answer already, which is like, why did he jump off the balcony to begin
Oh,
with?
that's a great question.
Yeah.
In my mind, Li Jing saw that the odds were against him, and because his whole thing is like, I am going to preserve myself. It's not where Longfeng's long-term goal is like, I want to be in control of Ba Sing Se, which is why he manipulates the Earth King, right? Longfeng is like, I'm going to control the city and I'm going to make you a puppet from birth. Li Jing, I knew going in, was like, I don't want to make this Longfeng 2.0. So he doesn't want power. He just wants to make sure that he has a place somewhere in society, and he'll do whatever it takes to keep it there. So in his mind, he's like, oh, let me just run off this balcony and jump. Now, I didn't know what was below there. So as a GM, I said he jumps, assuming there's something below. And so I kind of dropped in like, yeah, of course there's stuff below that he can probably fall into. And so he thinks I'm going to tuck and roll and maybe get there. And then by the time Quan jumps, well, he realizes it's over. And one of them might make it. It probably isn't going to be him. So if the only way out of here is death, then like maybe that is what it is, because he knows Longfeng is gonna, he's still just a minister. He's not the Grand Secretariat, and Longfeng can always come back and say, I can disown you, I can do whatever I want. He knows what's going to happen to him, and what he fears did, which is he is just wiped and becomes a drone effectively. So
I did assume that like he had an escape route when he jumped over the balcony, so I'm like, damn it, he
No.
got away. And then we get to the edge, he's like, he's just falling. I'm like, oh,
he's just
okay
gone.
Yeah,
then.
there was a moment where we're all like, wait, so he's just falling?
Yeah.
He's just gonna.
Plummets to his doom.
We could have just stood there and been like, all right, peace.
I mean-
Great,
that makes
you
sense.
totally would have been able to just say, we're done.
I didn't help. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
Yeah, delay didn't do
He's the
anything.
point.
And like, you didn't have to run to the edge and be like, no, he's done. That's fine.
I feel like if anyone else would have run to the edge, maybe, but I think Quan was like, no, you need to pay. You can't get away that
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's super in character.
Yeah.
It was great.
Mhm.
Revenge.
Slow revenge.
I love it. I love it so much. This has been a really cool campaign. I'm gonna miss it, honestly.
Yeah,
Like,
me
it's
too.
Like I don't say that unless I mean it, but Simon, you're doing some rad GMing.
Oh,
like,
thank
Yeah.
you.
Really,
Yeah.
really on point. Like you made me feel so much with the Chen family stuff. My heart
The drama,
was
yeah.
like ripping apart every session.
Well, yeah. Well, and to everyone's credit, like, you brought it. Like it's one thing to, like, yeah, I am one participant in the conversation that is the game.
Of
Right?
course.
And so when thank you, but also like putting things down and having y'all run with them and putting out your own ideas and doing all kinds of other cool things to kind of build that story towards its culmination was really great. So I've come to love these characters, and I think sometimes in my quiet moments about the stories that they might tell elsewhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, I to your, yeah, to Bendo's point of like, yeah, what is the cool AU comic like, where like the tough versions, the like veteran character versions of these characters are like pulling guerrilla warfare and stuff like that. Like, I want to see the whole Chi spin-off comic, like
Yeah.
where you've
Oh, yeah.
become, what's his name, the monk from Rogue One is what I'm imagining.
Yeah.
Like, I am one with the Force. The Force is
I'm
with
the
me.
Lord of the
Like,
Force.
God.
There's two spin-offs in there. There's the sequel spin-off comic, and there's the prequel spin-off comic where we find out how Chi got his name
That's
Yeah.
true.
and his
Yeah.
infamy.
Yeah, with
A lot of
the
people love
rise
Chi.
of the
Oh.
thief, right?
Imagine it's a little bit like a Jack Sparrow solo mission sort of
yeah.
deal.
Oh
You
my
have
gosh,
heard
I
of
could
me.
Jack Sparrow is such like a good like I could see the collision
the
with both of those
touchstone.
It's like
characters.
you're by far the worst outlaw I've ever heard of, but you have heard of me.
You have
Yeah,
heard
I've
of me.
heard of it.
Yeah. So good.
Good times. Good.
It has this they have very similar charisma for sure, which I like.
Just
It's a different type of charisma.
Make up some crazy plan and talk your way out of something, and yeah, it's great.
There was a point I was entertaining, like maybe we just Jihan and Chi just become best of friends, and you're the straight face and I'm the like, let's do it.
Oh yeah, no, that totally works.
Yeah, which is great that we kind of had a bit of that, but also the opposite, that you as the kind of let's go bold kind of character were also like, buddy, you got to slow down, which I think was just such
But
a
I wanna
fun
punch.
element to the character.
There's so
that-
many people
Only
who deserve
one
punches
cabbage
right now.
roll. Only one cabbage
One-
roll at a time. Okay. You can't put them all in your mouth. You're gonna choke.
It's that frog and toad willpower eating cookies bit.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
familiar with that children's book.
It's a good relationship for sure that it spawned from it all.
The dynamic, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, the dynamic of all of these characters, they're also
Yeah.
different, but like it just kind of like works really well together.
I really enjoyed playing off of Quan a lot, Maggie. I felt like the two, like Delight and Quan, had this great like sort of like experience versus versus youth, you know, like sort of thing going on. And yeah, the character ended up a lot sadder than I had originally anticipated for a lot of the time, but honestly, like the dice rolls just like led me there, you know, like a lot of the early stuff with Delight, like the first episode, like the second episode where I was in it for the first time, was like, okay, the dice are setting me up to be like in a bad situation here, you know, and playing into that worked out really well. I don't know, it just felt good. And like Quan's, you know, like sternness but like gentleness was also like my heart, you know, like I just these two, they just know each other, you know, they get along.
The different type of knowing, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
the mentorship of somebody versus, and I think there's like the role there where I was constantly trying not to overstep my place, right? Because yes, I am here to like bestow wisdom upon you, but at the same time, it's like you're kind of my boss. It's like a weird relationship
Yeah.
as well. to
I
play
really
out.
I really enjoyed every scene between Quan and Song as well. I thought
Oh,
that
yeah.
those were great scenes. Any scene that was between those two was really good.
The history that is implied between them and how that works
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Well, that goes back to you, Simon. It was very fun to RP with you, for sure. I mean, everyone it was fun to RP with, but like those I feel like those moments were so real, and like the mood that we were able to provide with like the words that we chose to speak were very, you know.
Yeah, it's fun. It was fun, very fun to spar with you in character. Yeah.
Because it's more like it's like walking on eggshells with your words, right?
That's the
And,
kind of stuff
you
I
know-
love.
I mean, that was the entire Li Jiang conversation as well during the party. Holy shit.
How to say something without
Yeah.
ever saying
Yeah.
it right.
That was
yeah.
such a good combo. I still one of my favorite moments in the series too,
yeah,
for sure.
very fun.
Very good.
There's a world of this game to kind of pick on Quan for a second that would be very interesting and different, which is there's a playbook that's coming out in the full game called the Pillar, where you're someone who's already established in the world and has experience, and so your whole arc is like mentoring the new generation. And it would be very interesting to see how that character would have played out differently if you were like the guide rather than like I am the protector. It's basically
Oh,
like
yeah.
Tenzin, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I
you're
would have
like,
played
you
it very
impetuous
differently.
child, what are you doing? And like,
Yeah. I could
I'm
see
trying to be myself. You gotta let me do my thing.
I could see Quan playing that role, but it would be such a different experience
A
for
very
everybody.
different
Like
character.
Yeah.
Quan would go out of her way a lot of times just to be following Delight or to be near Delight or to like making sure that she's okay. Whereas
Right.
like if I was that, maybe I would have played in a lot of different other scenes, I think.
Yeah.
For
But I
sure.
like the dynamic that we ended up with, which is the like,
We ended up
I'm
with
watching you in the back.
we also ended
forth.
up with 2 really nice like duos as well.
Yeah.
To a
Yeah.
certain extent,
So we
which
could
was
split
really-
up and do things still,
Yeah.
and it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't feel like when we separated that the way that some TTRPGs feel, where you're like, oh no, I shouldn't have ever separated from my team. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
kind of thing. It felt okay to do that. You know.
Yeah.
because you each make up
Everyone
for
bounced off
other's
each other really well. Like the combo
skills.
wombos were good.
Right.
And something else that I loved that I have to bring up is like, you know, a few episodes ago, the whole button situation of like taking that button
Oh,
and it coming up at the end, like just being at like a clutch moment for you. That was so cool.
Perfect.
So
I
you didn't
had
have to take that
forgotten
extra-
about that until the exact moment that you said it. Like, he's gonna goad you into like live up to the talk, and then you were like, I already have a button. Like, you do have a button. That's awesome. He doesn't know that. Which is just very, very fun when those things happen that are like these little serendipitous. Aha, yes.
But
Yeah.
Of
I
course.
would
And-
say
It's also incredibly
think-
Jack Sparrow to be like, I
Yes.
already stole this from you like a movie ago.
oh,
And I think that the Jian, like the fact that we were all kind of dealing with the Dai Li and Jian was like able to fight Li
Mhm.
Jing was like very cool because it's been like this buildup of Jian having to deal with like his childhood and like people not believing that there's a war. And like now he finally gets to like semi deal with like the top of the chain, or so he thinks, right? In this grand scheme, or at least in our
Yeah,
arc.
I felt like it always makes sense in those kind of situations for Jean to like ignore everybody else and just go for the dude. Like, just focus all his anger and everything that's happened at this at one dude, whoever that is, and be like, I'm gonna punch you lots till
Oh, and so
till
so
I
many
win.
cool like earthbendy vibes, like the tile and,
love
and the
earthbending.
smashing
I
and the
love it so
sand.
much.
It was cool.
Like I was already like in the previous mage show, I was a matter mage and was already earthbending in that, like because I was so hyped for earthbending. I love so much just being able to mess with the environment and just everything around you and just turn walls into weapons and I just love it.
Yeah, earthbending I feel like has a lot of power in the sense of like there's a lot of earth around you for sure that you can like manipulate, whereas like fire maybe not so much unless I'm in the Fire Nation.
Well, you can make fire,
think-
so it's got its advantages there.
True. Bonsai, I think you were gonna say something too.
oh yes. I also like seeing that Delight went from like teenage to girl boss. At the end, like, no, I am my family's voice. That's
Well,
also
I mean,
like I
you
love
know,
that.
it's like her arc was one of like either embracing the family or like leaving,
Breaking it down.
basically, or breaking it. Yeah. So, like the fact that Song made the decision to listen to her was like a huge confidence booster, right? Which then like
Right.
leads into the whole like, no, I speak with the authority of someone who has like a house full of personal guards now. You
Right.
know, like,
Yes.
it's
And I
fine.
think justice being on your side helped too.
Definitely, Justice was a
Both
Justice
forms
was
of
a-
justice.
Justice was a sleeper character, like sleeper hit character for sure. Just very awesome.
I think everybody developed like slight crushes on Justice, like good brother vibes.
Yeah,
Ah.
yeah,
It's
oh.
like
Cinnamon
ah.
roll, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Too good for this world.
We need
I-
like the Tinder dating profiles for all the characters.
Oh, no.
I gotta shout out the like I want to talk about the music because I was in charge of doing the music, and
Yeah.
I've done music for shows before, and sometimes it's really difficult because like when you before the show happens, you've got to pick the music ready, so it's all queued up and everything, and sometimes I pick music and being like, I don't know if this is gonna work. I don't know what scenes to expect. I don't know how this is gonna fit together. And I put something together and it's been alright, but I've
It's
not
just
been
like here are the
happy
emotions
with it.
that you have to hit.
Yeah, and like a scene's come along and I'm like, I don't have the track for that kind of thing. But this time round, I was like, okay, I'm gathering a soundtrack for an Avatar show. And so I went to Epidemic Sound and was looking through things and like trying to find the right tone. And then I stumbled across this one dude who'd basically made an Avatar show soundtrack. Not like deliberately, but like everything in there was everything I needed. There's a guy called Yinan Tiro. And after finding that dude, I just went through all this stuff and was like, I did sorted. And 90% of the music in this show was by that one dude. And then
Wow.
like 10% was like a couple little bits to fill in. And yeah, like every time a scene came up, I'm like, I got something. This is great. Like this guy like made something for everything. So I had a fantastic time doing the music because it was so easy to make music fit to what was happening. And so I love that a lot. Very happy with it.
That's great. I always do, almost always do music in my home games and my other streamed games where I'm like DJing live, but I'm either GMing those or I'm like working closely with the GM and I know kind of the general tone that we're taking. And so I can do that work ahead of time of like, I can pull and choose whatever. But mixing that in live time is very challenging.
Yeah.
And if you're just sort of like grabbing a handful of tracks, like, and not looking while you're GMing, which is something that I've done from a teaching background of like, let me just go through the records and say, this track, great. This is what I want to emphasize, right? Just having it on hand and having it work out so well was great. Because I think every time like a track came up, even if it was like we were working off of a group of like maybe 6, something like that, of the songs, each of those still managed to have something in them that was the right thing for the right moment, you know, like this is the pensive music, this is the emotional, like heartfelt scene music, and that's a skill, and it's definitely worth crediting. And for the people that made it, that's awesome. That's good stuff. I have to look it up.
Yeah, I'll for the end I'll put on my favorite track, which is with the first one I found by the guy, and then from there I'm like, I've got to check out the rest of this guy's stuff, and I was like, oh, this is all perfect. But the first one that I found was our like light-hearted battle and chase music that I realized was perfect to use anytime Chi was doing any fighting. This is like when Chi was doing something solo, I would put this one on.
Yeah,
I'm like that's perfect Avatar chase stuff right there.
Juck it, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like immediately makes you think of it. But yeah, I love doing the music for this. It went better than any other time I've done music for a show.
Well, kudos.
I think at one point I even in the chat was like, oh,
Yeah.
the music for this. I was like, so good.
Yeah. So good.
I think
I didn't see any other.
I think that, yeah.
I think that's a good point to wrap it up because I just noticed the clock. I don't want to keep everyone forever, so we will.
Yeah, and I have
We'll
to run a
wrap it up
legendary
there.
game.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh yeah, secret.
Right. So yep, that's the after show. Thank you all for watching. Thank you Empiric. Thank you Empiric Lord of Bits, and also the doggos for being here. But thank you Empiric Lord of Bits for supporting this episode. You can check out the Ascension after show and MP3 right now as well on the Patreon if you were watching on Thursday. There we go. This has
A
been
good one.
awesome. We've been Roll For It. We'll see you tomorrow for Santa RPG, and then we'll see you after Christmas. So just like what do we say? My brain's fried after this. It's been a long day.
I think we
May
just
the
say
dice
goodbye.
roll
I think
ever
we
in your favor.
yeah, may the dice roll ever in your favor. That's what we say. There we go. I did it.
That's what it is.
I was like,
See you
are you looking for
later,
the word
everyone.
goodbye, Ben?
No, I mean,
No,
because we have the
he's
thing we
looking for
say. I
that.
was like, what's the words? I don't know anymore.
May the
but
dice
that's
roll
it.
ever
Yeah,
in your
may the dice roll
favor.
ever in your favor. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.